All right, it is 6:30. Call the meeting to order. Welcome all our guests who are with us tonight. I get a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second to approve the agenda. All in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed? Motion carried. Looks like Jason, you'd like to talk to us in the open forum. We typically give 5 minutes for questions, so the floor is yours.
Okay, cool. Thank you. I'm just here to voice my concern with fall baseball. I'm understanding all the facts that I'm being told. Fall baseball coach hired. I'm not sure why you wouldn't have hired a spring coach to coach fall at the same time. Should someone explain the thought process on this? If my facts are right on.
Correct, you're correct. We do have a spring baseball coach and we do not have a fall baseball coach.
My question is, what's our thought process on not hiring the same guy to do both?
That is the question I'm not sure I know the exact answer to, other than our spring baseball coaches. What is he doing in the fall? Junior high basketball?
At this time, yes.
Yes.
Fall baseball.
I think the question really becomes, and I mean, it's something we've started around for a while, and we don't normally entertain having a discussion about it in open forum. I think the question really comes down to, do we or do we not have fall baseball? And I don't know that we've had those discussions. We know long-term is probably not viable. And I'll be honest, short-term, that the tough thing for me is the last 2 baseball coaches have left, and their reason for leaving is that they both said baseball parents. So then it makes you think, I mean, this is me thinking, not for the board, that maybe we need a break from baseball a little bit. And so
Your last coach couldn't say that because he didn't have anything to do with parents.
I can tell you what the last 2 coaches gave for a reason for leaving, and they said baseball parents.
The second one, I never seen a parent. He never talked.
I can only tell you that that was the reason we were given for why the last 2 left.
Because of coaches quitting and cut fall ball.
I think if we cut fall ball, and that decision has not been made, I think it really comes down to football right now is our #1 priority, and having strong numbers in football, which logically fall baseball is going to cut into fall football numbers.
But for this year, the numbers, this football practice is starting, correct?
We do believe we'll pick up more football players as we get towards the fall semester. I should say I believe that. I'm not speaking for the board when I say that.
I believe that you're gonna have plenty of kids to play fall baseball. I know most of them, a lot of them work for me. But my main point of speaking tonight is that if you cannot find a fall coach, if the new guy is not able to do it, I will put my name in the hat or whatever. Just give these boys some time. I gotta read this so I'll do it all.
Go for it.
I want these players to have the opportunity to play baseball and grow as a team and learn to play with each other as a team. With all the turnover in baseball coaches last few years, there has been no summer camps, summer games, or open field from the school or coaches for these players to get extra practice in as a team. If we take away fall baseball, you're asking this group of players to compete at the high school level in the spring with only being together for less than a month before their first game of the season. It takes more than 3 weeks of practice to be ready to compete in the spring. I mean, we're not having any summer camps, none of that, so football, basketball, softball, they get several months of open fields, open gyms. Baseball kind of gets, and it's because we don't have a coach that's stuck around, but baseball's getting thrown on the back burner. I don't think that's right. That I would be willing to fill out an application to be the fall baseball coach. Pretty sure you'll have enough players.
Now, Jason, I know you've been kind of collecting names from kiddos. Tentatively, how many kids so far have said they would play if there was a season? Do you know?
I'm gonna ask that on Wednesday night.
Okay.
Not everybody gets the baseball group that I started, so I was gonna ask them Wednesday night when they come there. I know they off the top of my head, returning players for sure. There's a couple of freshmen, I don't know if they play football or not.
I don't know if he's,
He
I
does,
don't,
but I'm not 100% sure. So I don't want to throw his name in there.
right, he might, but yeah.
I know of 8 off the top of my head that are not gonna play football. Would love to play baseball.
Jason, I shouldn't enter into this dialogue and I know better. But the rumor out there is, and it's a rumor, so I'm not gonna, that's why I'm asking the question, is that the upperclassmen baseball players are encouraging students not to go out for football, to, in their mind, keeping it viable. I mean, I've been told that from several different sources. So is there any truth to that
I have
whatsoever?
never heard that. Well, one of you from up there, I don't know who, it might have been you said that. I think it might have been our email. I think you said that, but I have never heard that. Austin has not come home and said that. I actually tried to tell Austin to play football to tough them up. They never play football.
Yeah.
And you're asking them to play high school football and they don't know the rules of how to play.
Sure.
I just have a quick comment to your comment that it's being treated differently than other sports, and that's that most sports get one season. And if they want to do practices in the summer or use facilities in the summer or do clubs, that's perfectly acceptable or reasonable, but most sports don't go all year long.
And like I said, we haven't had a coach to stick around to work with them during the summertime. Maybe that would change hopefully with the new guy. Hopefully he'll be around for a few years. I think down the road, I have no problem with cutting fall ball if we need it for football. At this point, the players are not going to play football. They just don't know the game. If that makes any sense.
There was a spring softball season at one time too.
I know basketball, they're in the Lincoln League, they're in the South Calhoun League, they're in Harrisburg today. They practice 4 days a week. Football's practicing how many days a week? Baseball hasn't had anything since the last game in districts.
The conversation is being driven because of a lack of a coach. If you have a coach who's enthusiastic and on top of it, then these baseball decisions would have been made long ago. You know, that's the whole crux of it. I think that's the reason for confusion on your, first of all, thank you for speaking to us. And I'm sympathetic to your cause, and you know that. But the fact of the matter is we had this turnover. We have to absolutely deal with it. We have to go ahead and put coaches in place. We just have to go ahead and do it for the 1 seasons they had. And that does take precedence over the extra season that baseball has. If that makes it, you know, we do have to check the box of junior high coach in basketball. We just got to get somebody in there because those kids have served that 1 season. And if Dan's going to do that, he's going to do that. And that was, you know, we had to get a guy to coach junior high basketball, and we had 2 in there, and 1 guy has since backed out. So we do have to do that. And I'm open to, first of all, no, this board has not acted to do away with fall baseball for the fall of 22. It hasn't done that. As of now, we have a season, right? We have not.
We have
Voted
not.
on
I
it.
mean,
There's anything on it
Jason's
at all.
right. We don't have a coach, and you could,
Right.
that would be.
Okay, I
concerning.
understand that, but like, that's where we stand, but it's that coaching turnover that caused the confusion problem. And if we can't put a guy in there in the fall, well, okay, that probably would therefore theoretically end it, but we haven't formally done anything. And I just think that the part of the anxiety caused is because of coaching turnover. You have athletic director turnover, you have principal turnover, and you have it right here at the end. And, you know, quite frankly, we got to get our personnel resources in place, you know, like that's where we are with that.
So is there a way, I know I don't have a 4-year degree for being a coach. I think there's a way around that with Misha. Are you still taking applications for fall baseball coach?
Definitely not, it's definitely not a Brett question or a board question. You know what I mean? It's a principal, athletic director, superintendent question there. You know what I mean? Like that's where that pathway is. Those policies are in place there.
Principal.
Superintendent, assistant principal, athletic director. We don't have a principal at this time, high school principal. You know what I mean? That's where you go. And those folks make those decisions. They make those policies regarding like who we're going to hire for that type of thing. But yeah, you can't be a head coach unless you have a 4-year college degree. That's a mission rule. We have to abide by that, obviously.
I think your speculation that you can't find it. You can get it approved. Can't find one.
The emergency option, I think there was you might be right. Okay, I haven't talked to any Mission First people recently, but I had type of conversation about that a month ago. It was just a different topic. Had to do with that emergency. I think the emergency coaching thing I think that you're referring to had to do with some sort of effect of the lockdowns and such. I might be wrong. I'm talking without absolute knowledge on that. I can find it out easy enough. You and I, either one of us can. You know what I mean? We can find out phone call or an email. So
Try to get
Give me a call.
the two.
sure. I mean that's I mean, you know, the application process goes through our administration, obviously.
I just didn't know if the job was still open. It's off the computer.
Kind of held back just out of formal structure, but we haven't had a head baseball coach applicant since May 16th. And we only had one that's even listed in the system, and that one's inactive. So he either said I'm otherwise employed or something inactivated that, because I've looked at it recently, but I can see every applicant. We've had one, and I'm pretty certain that means they've taken another job anywhere, and we haven't had a single person, and it's still running.
So it's still out there until I check out. Most of these kids feel like, just like you would love for your kids to have an opportunity to play football. Some of these kids might go to college, play baseball.
All right, well, appreciate your passion for it and appreciate you working with the students in the summer. I know I think you're coaching a team right now with mostly Lynn kids, so appreciate you doing that and helping them out. All right,
Thank you.
could I have a motion to approve the consent agenda? Have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor, right hand? Approval and transfer and payment of bills. Any discussion on transfer and payment of bills?
something I didn't understand, but if I don't get to it in time, you guys move on. It's probably no big deal.
The only thing I saw, I mean, we chatted about it up here in advance of the meeting, was what the wellness benefit looked like. And
Okay.
I don't know that anybody really knew for sure what it was, but it
Yeah,
sounded
I
like a
didn't
health
know
and
what-
wellness.
I didn't want to sound silly by asking that, but
Well,
like,
I had
thank-
asked Dina
appreciate that,
about
thank
it
you.
because there was some people the last time that got checks and it was something to do with, it's a,
Their participation in the
Yeah,
wellness program.
like they had to do
Makes them
certain
eligible for a
things.
rebate
Yeah.
of sorts for their premiums.
So like,
I'm guessing
unlike how we got it monthly, they get it yearly?
Could be.
Is that what it is?
Could be.
Okay.
Difference
I bet
in
that's what it
structure.
is. It's like, I bet like,
The money comes in from that wellness group, is deposited, and then we cut checks to the individuals that they say earned the points. Right.
Any other questions on bills? Could I have a motion for approval of transfer and payment of bills? Could I have a second? Any further discussion? All in favor, right hand? Motion carries. Reports. Elementary.
I'll try this. just some fall registration dates. We started doing that last year. It was really helpful. And that had an opportunity for all of our kids to come in and register, so they can update all their information. So that's going to be going out to parents next week. Should be receiving a letter with that and some other information like who their teacher is going to be next year and supply list, things like that. So those are the dates that we have scheduled for the fall registration. Back to school health fair, Mrs. Everett's been working on that, getting vendors and supplies and so forth for that. That's gonna be August 11th, 4 to 6 p.m. at the elementary. Master schedule is something we still been working on because there's been a lot of different things that have come into play this year that kind of delayed us on that. And so we're just about to our final stages. I should be able to share something with them next week. But we'll have the reading, all the systematic reading pieces are in play, the 1 hour math block, as well as a tiered support time for math. And then we're also trying to add in some support for math from our title staff this year. We're gonna see if we can get that accomplished. Student handbook's been updated and is ready to be looked at with just a handful of changes on some things there. One in particular, I thank Eric for mentioning, is putting the Chromebook agreement into the handbook so we can kind of try as much as we can. There's so much for parents to sign and go through at the beginning of the year, as much as we can streamline that. So that's been put into the handbook too, so they can just tear off the last few pages and hand those in. Staff openings, we are still looking for a music teacher for K2, and I know that includes our high school choir. So that's a concern and something I just asked them, share. If there's anybody that you know, or I've asked the staff to do the same, and I know everybody's just kind of reaching out, trying to find somebody that we could pull in that can lead that for us. I do have a interview tomorrow with Para, so that's good. We had another one come in today for an applicant, so I'm excited about that. We might get our Para positions filled here at the last minute. One thing that kind of came up toward the end of the year, we've been talking about for the last couple of years, just the social emotional needs of our students. Where are we with our adults? Just kind of where we stand. And so Mrs. Baker, Mrs. Everett, Mrs. Sig all went to conscious discipline training with Joe Moley in Jeff City last year, and they brought back tremendous information, and their staff is excited about this idea. And so I've been working with Jill to see if I can get some dates for her to come and work with our staff. I've been through that and I've worked with her, and she's phenomenal. And I know it's just the right kind of path that I think would help our staff with their own social emotional pieces, as well as being able to help students. So that's something that's exciting and something we're working on right now. Kindergarten readiness assessment, just wanted to bring that up. That's a new requirement through DESE this year. And so in the fall, within the first 4 to 6, I believe, weeks of our kindergarten students being in seat, we have to give them not a screener, but a kindergarten readiness assessment. And so been working with some different people. We've been able to get into a, I've lost my word, it's in here somewhere, a pilot program. So it's free of cost for us this year with one of the assessments that DESE had suggested. So our teachers are going to be trained on that this summer, and then we'll do that in the fall, and hopefully that'll give us some information too, that over time, the longevity of that will help us to make some good decisions in-house. So that is in the works too. I kind of already mentioned the class list being the individual students will be getting letters on who their teacher is next week. And then there's just a list of dates there that are throughout the summer and back to the fall and ready to start school on August 23rd. So any questions?
Comment, appreciate you doing the conscious discipline thing.
Sure, yeah,
That was
a huge
good,
fan of that.
good outreach by you and those folks involved with that.
Thank
That
you.
type of thing is whatever. Just,
So necessary, isn't it?
and more so,
Mhm.
becoming more so all the time. Yes.
I agree. Thank you.
I was gonna say Jill Schaefer, who ran the daycare that my kids went to for a long time, is, I think she's trained in it, or she's done a lot with it, and she used it at the daycare and it was very beneficial.
It's
I can
really,
tell the difference.
and I'll tell you, the staff that we have are already kind of, the kind of staff that says whatever it takes to help kids. So they already have those building blocks with just understanding a little bit on social emotional. It'll be a nice transition for them. It will make sense to them. And I think it's going to be a good piece for us. So thank you. I appreciate you all.
Do we have a feel for how many kindergartners we'll have?
I do, but I don't remember because I was on vacation last week and my brain is not. I haven't looked at that recently. I have to go look it up.
Okay.
Not 100% sure.
I'll
We have
ask
to
you-
fill out 3 classes in small class sizes, but to
Okay.
fill out 3 classes. Is where we
All right.
are.
I'll ask you again next month.
Sounds good. All right, thank you all.
All right, middle school, high school.
Yeah, first off, I want to apologize, I was late. Jason asked me to drag the field for practice for tomorrow, and the tractor ran out of gas, so that's where I was, so, and on my report, all I really wanted to show you guys ahead of time was the handbook changes that we had. I do have some positive news. We finished the school year with 302 students. Our average attendance rate is 95.35%. The most exciting of it is we only had 34 students with Fs. So we did bring that number down. If you add all 34 students, 7 through 12, that's an average of 11%. If you take the 7th and 8th graders out, because some of those at the end didn't take finals because we don't hold them, they take them. So if you take the 7th grades and 8th grade Fs out, 9 through 12, only 8% of our students had Fs. And out of these 34 students, they all had one, or they all had more than one F. So all of our students that are failing, they failed more than one class. So if you looked at it in the past, we started, I think, at 63 at the beginning of the year. Each time we got better. So hats off to my staff. Hats off for the students for buying in, but 11% students for F is still not acceptable, but a whole lot better than what we were doing. So that's really good. As far as our master schedule is completed. Everything's up to speed. I still need to talk to Mr. Minix about when he wants his lunchtime in between our two shifts. So we did work through our schedule. We did be able to add an extra 15 minutes to our 5th hour class. That's just going to kind of be a homeroom seminar time. So what I'm got in place and going to discuss with the incoming principal is that we want each classroom teacher to take ownership of 15 or 20 students. And in order to do that, that's why we extended 15 minutes in the 5th hour, because now those teachers are going to be holding those kids accountable for their grades, for their missing grades. So we try to do that with the seminar. The problem with that is there was too much relaxed time. Always during seminar time, that's when they try to meet, try to do those things for memberships and for class sponsors or in clubs. So this way we felt that it would be better if we had each teacher be accountable for 15 to 20 students, and each day talk to them and hold them accountable. Hopefully by doing that, we can eliminate these 34 students and someone can build a positive relationship with them. That's kind of what we're doing with that. I will take questions if you have questions on any of the changes that we had in the handbook. A lot of the changes that we're making, there was 10 total. A lot of them was just bringing them up to speed, like with the mission requirements, because before, also in the past, it had like 50 minutes. Now we have 59 minutes. The 0 hour, we're not doing the Friday detention after school. So there was a lot of changes there. I also had the dances changes because we didn't have in there as far as if they were virtual students. And I know that was a discussion that we had to always address in the past at a few board meetings. So I wanted to go ahead and have a policy for that, and a final policy and a grading policy, and all those things, that all the changes as far as classroom discuss or electronics, grades, finals, that was all collaborative effort from the staff. And that's kind of what we all agreed on our last PD day on May 9th. That's what they agreed on doing, and that's not represented to you. So I will take questions if you have any questions at this time.
So that 15-minute period will be like, if I understand right after or right before lunch?
Yeah, it'll be right after. Well, lunch is actually earlier, so I take that back. Lunch ends, well, the first lunch is 7th and 8th grade lunch is 10:50 to 11:16, and then there's a break. And then 10th, 11th, and 12th graders eat lunch until 12:19, and then 5th hour. So for the 10th, and 11th, 12th graders, it's right after lunch. For the 7th, 8th, and 9th graders, it's not. And what we were trying to do, we had 3 lunch shifts already, but we were trying to help bring, because a lot of times with the 7th, 8th graders and the 9th graders, 7th and 8th graders are a little immature, so we're hoping by throwing some 9th graders in there, that will help bring up the maturity. And also 9th grade, that way they still have some ownership. And then, like I said, 6th grade will have their own lunch shift in between that time. So we're still gonna go with 3 lunch shifts, but we'll that way instead. We got to add an extra minute for each class too. So each class now is 59 minutes. So just with talking to the staff and everything, the more time they're in front of their subject teachers, I think is better.
So do we limit class size then for that 5th hour?
For the 5th hour,
If you're saying ownership of 15 to 20?
well, most of our class size, luckily here, most of our class size right now is about 15 to 20. I think our average is 17. So yeah, we don't have to limit anymore because that's our average class size is right around 17 students. We give or take classes. So that's the beauty though. I mean, PE, those classes, those are going to be a little longer. They have more kids. That's the other thing we're trying to do. But we also incorporated this year too, because in the past it was not offering 7th, 8th grade health. So now we have PE health together, and every quarter the health teacher will pull out 15 students and they'll have 9 weeks of health. Meet the requirements.
Other questions? I think that concludes your last report as an R2 principal. So I want to thank you for your time with the district and some of your energy and that you brought to the position, and clearly the students, many of them thought very, very highly of you. So
thank you for the opportunity. As I told a lot of you individually, I apologize for not fulfilling my obligation, but a lot of stress and things, and just I knew it was time for me to. I still feel very proud to be a Wildcat. I will still support Wildcat, still help out in any way possible in any avenue. So I really appreciate the opportunity. It's a great school, fantastic kids. I've already missed a bunch of them already, so thank you. So
thank you. Giving the athletics report.
You can give a brief one, Chris. Just in general.
Or just introduce yourself and
Yeah.
tell you a little bit about yourself. It'd be plenty. We've seen the report. It does talk to me. It talks about a couple of really good things like the golf team and so on, but I think we had that last month, didn't we? Yeah, I think most of the report was already happened last month. So just tell us about yourself, unless you have something to add.
So I'm Chris Minnix. Thank you very much for the opportunity for me to come here and do Wildcat. I apologize, I'm gonna keep it short because I was not expecting this, but
Welcome to.
I think we've done some great work already. As you see, the inside of the track field and the football field have had sod lane and it's been regraded. I'm in the midst of finishing up our athletic calendar. Just been kind of going through each one of the sports and making sure that our teams are meeting all the mission requirements and had some games as well. And obviously I'm here to serve in any capacity, so anything I can do to help.
Welcome. Thank you. Welcome. All right. Discussion action item, review handbooks. Is that an action item, the changes to the handbook? We have to approve the changes. Any question, any discussion on the changes presented? I went through them. I didn't see anything very exciting. Anyone?
No.
No.
I'm fine with it.
Well, then I'll take a motion to approve the changes to the handbook.
Except I asked Nina about that. She said we're not supposed to approve them.
Okay,
Typically, it's review item.
reviewable item only.
I think so.
Okay,
Discussion
Perfect.
questions.
so there's no action item there.
Yeah.
report comes to your scholarships for review only. Oh, okay. Well, I guess I could open those up and find them out.
For review only.
Okay.
Got it.
Actually, while we're talking about it, maybe in the agenda moving forward, we can put behind each of those items, whether action item or review item. That'll keep me from being a fool. Title I program evaluation. Is that for review or is there an
Review
action
only.
item there?
Yeah, there's nothing to vote on there.
Nothing to vote on
Same
there.
thing with the
Any
evaluation.
questions, discussion? Okay. A+ program evaluation,
Same.
same.
review only.
Any questions there?
Is there any sort of is every public school in the state able to do the A+ program, or is it just certain schools? Because I feel like when it started, it was just certain schools, but it seems like everybody does it now.
It's everybody now. I don't think there's a public school in Missouri that doesn't do it now.
Yeah, there are some requirements, but I don't think
Sure.
they're so exclusive that most, if not all, public schools can meet those requirements and participate if they choose to.
All right. Next item's got to be an action item.
It is-
Amend the 21-22 budget to actuals. Anybody have any enlightenment there or comments there?
I noticed there was a number for the HVAC project in the elementary, I think 92 or 95,000. Do we know if that number is final? Are they done?
They're not done, although we're looking at moving back into the board office in that area as soon as June 30th. So we should get a final number fairly soon from them. If it doesn't change, it would be very odd that it doesn't change some as we approach the end, as it's pretty typical.
So is that supposed to be done in the next 9 days, or do we know? Or is
They
it,
said, they told me today that we could be back in the board office as soon as
The-
June
the
30th.
board
Now,
office will
whether
be done,
all
but
of it, I don't think. the
so we'll have
elementary
some
will.
of that that'll carry forward to next
Yeah.
fiscal
Yeah,
year.
yeah.
Okay. All right. There are no other comments or questions. I'll entertain a motion to approve the amendment to the 21-22 budget to actual.
I move we approve the finalized budget or the amendment.
Have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, raise your hand. Opposed, the same. All right. Motion is approved. Ag building AC purchase. Questions on that? The only question I had is, what is our threshold for multiple bids? I didn't see multiple bids, and it was 15,000. Do we know what the threshold is on construction?
I don't recall from memory what the
Yeah,
minimum is, but 15 seems like we would need multiple bids at
That's-
15,000.
We had this, it was,
Thought it
it's
was
a
50,000.
I thought for construction it was 50,000.
I think it's
Was it 50
50,000.
for construction?
and that's, I mean, I say we approve it, but I think somebody should verify that, because I know at least for like the state of Missouri, I think their threshold is like 25,000 on construction without multiple bids. It may have gone up though. I mean, it used to be, I could be wrong on that too. It may have gone up. But 50,000 does seem like a pretty hefty number not to get multiple bids.
Yes.
And it seems like we had this discussion like 6 months ago, and then we turned around and went and got multiple bids on something.
On the project that's ongoing right now. Because we had a price for part of that repair. And we decided that it needed to go back to bid.
So I'm okay approving it. I mean, me personally, I mean, I say we approve it contingent upon making sure that it meets bidding requirements.
I'll check and find out. I need to sift through what we've established as a district. I just don't know that by memory.
I don't want to slow it down. Anything you can get done right now by anybody is,
Yeah.
a good thing. 'Cause I was talking to somebody yesterday who said they were without air conditioning and would be for the next 2 weeks because you can't get a contractor to come in and fix the air conditioning.
Was it yesterday, but that would be my house today.
Oh.
If they had closing. How about that?
Yeah.
All right, then I'll entertain a motion to approve the ag building air conditioning purchase contingent upon making sure we're okay with.
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, right hand. Opposed, the same. All right. The next regular meeting for the board will be July 19th, I assume at 6:30 again. With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn to closed session.
I move we adjourn to closed session.
Or you gotta read the whole spiel.
For discussion of personnel matters, personnel and personnel records, student. I don't think we do. We just do that thing for.
No.
We always do, but I agree. I'm not sure we actually have to.
I do.
I move we adjourn to closed session for discussion of personnel matters, section 610.021. 1 legal 3 personnel, and 13 personnel records, RSMO, period. Right to say student. Student 0.06. I don't.
All right, can I have a second?
I will second. Thank you, Brent.
Roll call vote, Mark,
Yes.
Lori,
Yes.
Lana,
Yes.
Naomi,
Yes.
Brett,
Yes.
Jamie.
Yes.
I am a yes. We are now adjourned to closed session.
Am I doing that again?